The first week after moving to a new city always feels the same. You don't know where to buy groceries. You don't know which cafe is actually good. You don't know which streets are busy, or which ones become quiet after dark. You're constantly opening Google Maps, constantly translating signs, constantly comparing prices. And Bogotá is no different, but after just a few days, something interesting starts to happen. You stop feeling like a tourist, and you begin living like everyone else. One of the first things you'll notice is that locals rarely buy everything from the same supermarket. At first, that seems strange. Why visit 2 or 3 different stores? Then you see the prices, and suddenly, it makes perfect sense. If there's one supermarket that almost every Colombian knows, it's D1. The stores are simple. The shelves aren't packed with endless choices. You probably won't find 15 different brands of cereal or imported snacks from around the world. That's not the goal. D1 focuses on keeping everyday essentials affordable. Many of its products are sold under private labels, helping keep costs down while maintaining consistent quality. Ask 10 locals where they shop, and chances are, most of them will mention D1. Not because it's glamorous, because it simply works. Then there's Ara. Very similar, affordable, convenient, and surprisingly popular. The funny thing is, ask Colombians which supermarket is better, and you'll probably start a debate. Some swear by D1, others prefer Ara. Everyone has their favorite products. It's almost a national sport. If you ask someone who has lived in Bogotá for years what the city's biggest problem is, most people won't say crime, they won't say pollution, and they probably won't mention the weather. They'll simply smile and say one word: traffic. At first, it's difficult to understand. The distance doesn't look that far. You open Google Maps. 6 kilometers, 8 kilometers, maybe 10. Back home, that would be a 15-minute drive. In Bogotá, Google quietly tells you something very different. 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes more, especially during the morning and evening rush. It's one of the first moments when you realize Bogotá doesn't operate on distance, it operates on time. And that's a lesson every local learns very quickly. So, if you're thinking about moving to Bogotá, or you've already lived here, I'd love to hear your experience. What surprised you the most? And what advice would you give someone arriving for the first time? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because no guide, including this one, can replace the perspective of people who call this city home. Then there's Chico. This is where Bogotá starts looking very different from the image many foreigners have in their minds. Modern apartment towers, corporate headquarters, luxury hotels, fine dining, rooftop bars. If your budget allows it, it's one of the most comfortable places to live, but comfort comes at a price. Now compare that to Usaquén, just a little farther north, and the atmosphere changes completely. The pace slows down. Tree-lined streets replace busy avenues. Families walk through small parks. Weekend markets fill the old colonial square. Restaurants spill onto sidewalks. If Chapinero feels like a young professional, Usaquén feels like someone who's already built the life they wanted. It's quieter, cleaner, more residential. Naturally, it's also more expensive. Dioi. If you ask digital nomads where they live, one answer appears again and again: Chapinero. And after spending time here, it's easy to understand why. This is probably the closest thing Bogotá has to an all-round neighborhood. Coffee shops are everywhere. Co-working spaces fill up early in the morning. The restaurant scene keeps growing every year. Fast internet is easy to find. Gyms, bars, bookstores, parks, everything feels within walking distance. It has energy, but it doesn't feel like a tourist district. It still feels Colombian. That's one of the reasons so many foreigners stay here much longer than they originally planned. There's one mistake almost every newcomer makes. They search for an apartment before they understand the city. At first, that sounds perfectly reasonable. Open Airbnb, set your budget, find something that looks nice. Done? Except, that's exactly how many people end up paying too much, living too far away, or simply choosing the wrong neighborhood. Because Bogotá isn't one city. It's a collection of completely different worlds, spread across more than 600 square kilometers. Every district has its own personality, its own rhythm, its own prices, its own feeling, and sometimes, crossing just a few streets can completely change your experience. Over the next few minutes, we're going beyond travel tips. We're going to look at what daily life actually feels like, how much it costs to live comfortably, where people really shop, how locals find apartments, why almost every business runs through WhatsApp, how to avoid the mistakes many newcomers make, and why one simple Colombian expression might save you from becoming an easy target. By the end of this video, you'll know whether Bogotá is a city you'd actually want to call home, because the internet has told you what Bogotá was. It's time to see what Bogotá is. That doesn't mean Bogotá is perfectly safe. We'll talk honestly about crime later. Because yes, there are things you absolutely need to know, but fear alone doesn't explain this city. And anyone who tells you it does probably hasn't spent enough time here. What actually defines Bogotá is contrast. It's one of the few places I've seen where two neighborhoods can feel like completely different cities. Walk through Chapinero, and you'll find specialty coffee shops, co-working spaces, craft breweries, young entrepreneurs, students, and some of the best restaurants in Colombia. Drive 20 minutes, and the atmosphere changes completely. Different buildings, different pace, different income levels, different daily life. That's why locals almost never answer the question, is Bogotá safe? Instead, they answer with another question. Which neighborhood? Because here, location changes almost everything. And that's the first lesson anyone moving to Bogotá needs to understand. You're not choosing a city, you're choosing your version of the city. Before coming here, I'll admit something. I believed many of the stereotypes too. I imagined constantly looking over my shoulder, keeping my phone hidden every second, feeling nervous whenever I walked outside. Instead, my first surprise wasn't fear. It was normal life. Parents walking children to school, people jogging before work, friends meeting for breakfast, dog owners filling neighborhood parks before sunrise, remote workers opening laptops inside cafes, street musicians performing for commuters who barely stop to listen. Life. Ordinary life. The kind of life nobody bothers uploading to YouTube, because ordinary doesn't get clicks. Every morning, millions of people begin the same routine. Coffee, work, school, meetings, traffic, life, just like almost every other major city in the world. That's one of the biggest surprises. Bogotá doesn't feel like a city trapped by its past. It feels like a city focused on tomorrow. This is Colombia's capital, its political center, its financial center, its largest job market, its busiest airport. Nearly every major Colombian company has offices here. International businesses continue to expand. New restaurants open every month. Modern office towers stand beside colonial buildings that have watched over these streets for centuries. And yet, despite everything the city has become, one reputation refuses to disappear. Every city has a reputation. New York never sleeps. Tokyo is futuristic. Paris is romantic. Dubai is luxurious. And Bogotá? Ask 10 people who have never been here, and chances are you'll hear the same answers. It's dangerous. The traffic is terrible. It's cheap. That's usually where the conversation ends. But here's the problem. Most people don't actually know Bogotá. They know Colombia's reputation, and for decades, those two things have been treated as if they were the same. The truth is far more interesting, because Bogotá isn't the city most tourists dream about. It isn't filled with beaches. It isn't the postcard version of Colombia you see on Instagram. In fact, many travelers don't even stay here. They land at the airport, sleep one night, and continue straight to Medellin or Cartagena. And honestly, I understand why. At first glance, Bogotá isn't trying to impress you. The weather is cool instead of tropical. The skyline feels more practical than glamorous. The streets can be noisy, traffic is constant, rain can appear out of nowhere. It's not love at first sight. But that's exactly why Bogotá is different. Because this isn't a city that reveals itself in a weekend. It's a city that rewards curiosity. The longer you stay, the more it starts making sense.